In this corner, at 5'10", weighing 165 pounds, from Huntington Beach, Joe 5 o'clock somewhere. And in this corner, 5'11", 235 pounds, from St. Louis, Missouri, Anthony Perry.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Welcome to Finalize This. It's Thursday, March 7th. I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, this is Anthony Perry. What's going on out there?
We had some technical difficulties earlier on in the week. Apologize to those of you who wanted to hear the show on Tuesday. We've done a little bit of moving in the last month. We started out in our original home, the studio lobby. We've, the last month, only been able to do 2 shows, but we've been in Studio A. But today we're coming to you from our brand new home from Studio B.
How about that? We got new digs, and we're student athletes, student broadcasters. Make it happen.
So anyways, anyone, well, actually all of you would have missed the show on Tuesday since the technical difficulties again. Wanted to let everyone know that we're going with a new format. Instead of doing Tuesday from 4 to 6, we're going to be on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, 1-hour show, and also Thursday at 4 o'clock, another hour show. So 4 o'clock on the T's.
You got it.
What you got my 40, homie?
Exactly. So you remember 40, you'll know, 4T, 4 o'clock on the T's. Anyways, coming up in this hour, we got a lot to talk about. Want to remind you real quick to go ahead and like Finalize This on Facebook. You can now follow us on Twitter. And you can listen to any past shows that you've missed on Spreaker.com. While you're over there, be sure to check out our affiliate shows, the DNA Show, No Salary Cap Radio, the UOU Show, and the Sanders Sports Show. So coming up in this hour, like I said, we got a lot to talk about. We'll discuss Flacco's new deal. We got a new number 1 in college basketball, another new number 1. We'll talk some spring training baseball, give you your NHL update, talk some LA basketball. But first, talk about the Miami Heat and their now 16-game winning streak. So like I mentioned, Miami's on a 16-game winning streak now. They almost let one get away last night, didn't they?
You know what's really crazy? They were winning by, 20 points in that game against Orlando? You know, you would think they would just blow them out, but they barely won the basketball game. What's up with that?
You know what? I think, and this happens in all sports, when teams go on a big streak, sometimes they tend to get lazy in the second half and later in games. And I saw Miami getting pretty lazy in the third quarter of that game and really kind of allowed Orlando to get back into it.
But you know what that goes to say, because, you know, like you said, 16-game win streak, at least 10 of those games have been over 10 points. But a lot of those games have been really close, and the talent that they've gone against has been average. So maybe they just don't get up for the lesser teams, because Orlando would be one of those teams that you would look at and say they're not that good. You know, statistically, what are they, 17, 18 wins?
Yeah,
you know?
They're really bad this season.
Yeah, so you would imagine that they would go in not thinking much of them, thinking, okay, we could just blow them out and keep going.
Clearly Orlando lost in the whole Dwight Howard trade, but then again, no one really won that one, did they?
No.
Nah.
No. I don't know who, you know, you say who moved around and who did what. I don't know. I don't even remember what Orlando got.
I know they got Aflalo, and I mean, that's really...
But I'm saying there were so many teams involved and players involved moving around.
Yeah,
it's hard
4
to say.
teams, like 12, 13 players, and... You know, Dwight obviously being the prize in that whole trade, and he isn't Dwight Howard this season. But, you know, he's got the injuries. Going back to Miami's winning streak, though, last night, LBJ, and I'm going to start calling him Flash again because he sure looks like Flash once again. Wade and LeBron combined for 50 points last night. LeBron needed some late fourth quarter heroics to win the game, though. What was there, like 3-point-something on the clock with the go-ahead layup to go up 97-96?
Yeah, actually it was maybe more like 7 or 8 seconds, 12 seconds. He had the ball, and he was just dribbling around, and as the clock went down, then he went to the hoop. And he went left, actually, which was really surprising because Jordan and a lot of people in the league say he goes left, he shoots jump shots, but he actually went all the way to the hoop. But that defense just sort of backed off of him. I couldn't believe that. But then again, they said outside of injuries, they were fouled. They had 3 guys fouled out of the game, so they really had no bigs down down low. So he just went in and went up on the left side, made the bucket, 3-point-something seconds left.
Was Vukovic one of the three that fouled out?
I think he may have been.
He was. He had another big game against Miami. In 2 games against Miami, his 2 20-20 games against Miami, he's combined for 50 rebounds. We were talking about this earlier. If there is a weakness with the Miami Heat, it's clearly their rebounding. Not a good rebounding team.
You know, that's one of those things that if you looked at Indiana when they played the Heat, and you would think that Indiana wouldn't have a shot because they don't have the offense, but darn, they got the rebounding and they got defense. So I look at Miami like, who can really stop these guys?
Well, speaking of Indiana, the last time Miami actually lost was February 1st at Indiana. So they were the last team to beat them.
And I think it's one of the teams that constructed on that side that can beat them, because I think the Knicks give them trouble, but then the Knicks get in their own way.
Yeah.
You know, so who can really beat them? I guess it is Indiana and the Knicks. I guess.
Well, the X factor being if D Rose comes back with Chicago. I mean, that's still kind of up in the air.
You know, and that's something, because he comes back, nobody knows what he's going to be able to do.
You know, I want to talk about Chicago for a second. What's crazy to me about that, they've been without their best player. No, that's not even debatable. Everyone knows Derrick Rose is the best player on the Bulls. Their basically entire bench from last season are all playing somewhere else this year. So they've lost pretty much their entire bench. D Rose has been out with injury, and they're still a 4 seed.
Well, that tells you maybe how bad it is on one side, and the other side is they play defense. So the players that they brought in are still defensively sound players. So if you're going to have a great scheme, which their coach gives them, a great defensive scheme, and they can score enough points, what are they averaging, like maybe 92, 93 points a game? Maybe 94, I don't know, but they're not one of those teams that scores 100. They just
Right.
don't go in that area. So if they're holding you to 85 points and they're scoring 90, they're going to win most of their games. And that's how I look at them.
Over the course of this streak, I mean, this has really just been the last 2-3 weeks. The East used to be pretty close. Miami's now extended their lead over the Pacers by 7.5 games, which, I mean, it's pretty much a lock at this point. Miami's going to end up the number 1 seed. I do think the Pacers will hold on and be the number 2 seed. I actually think it's going to come down to these two in the Eastern Conference Finals. The way I look at it, whoever's got to play New York before that series is the loser of the Eastern Conference Finals. For example, if Miami's got to beat the Knicks to then play the Pacers are going to win. If the Pacers have to beat the Knicks to then play Miami, I'm saying whoever has to go through New York first is going to lose the Eastern Conference Finals. Indiana, though, I think has... You hear a lot of people, Barkley the other day saying that San Antonio had the best chance at beating Miami. I think Indiana's got just as good a shot as anyone.
Well, the difference is San Antonio can score more points. And I think those are the biggest difference in both teams is they have bigs that can score, guards that can move it, where Indiana, you know, they kind of stagnant. West is a stagnant player. He gets the ball. That means he's down low with it for 7 seconds, backing you in and trying to score. Hibbert is not the big scorer on that team. He plays great defense at times, blocks a few shots, and grabs rebounds, but he's not the big scorer. So, yeah, I look at San Antonio as a team that can run with the Bulls offensively, and then on defense, they play a great game. So, you know, from the other side, yeah, Indiana on the East and San Antonio in the West.
So you do agree with the Indiana point?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
They kind of lost in embarrassing fashion in the playoffs last year, and they've played this season against Miami like they've kind of got a chip on their shoulder, and it's. I'd love for it to come down to those two. It should be a great series. Miami now 45-14, best record in the NBA. Let's move on and talk about the Clippers. Clippers
Ooh.
now 44-19.
Ooh, not bad.
How about Blake Griffin last night?
You know, I didn't see, but I understand he had a triple-double,
He had a
11 rebounds,
triple-double.
11 assists, and 20-some-odd points. So Blake offensively seemed really good.
Tell me you at least saw the Harlem
Try
Globetrotter
to-
alley-oop from Jamal Crawford to Blake Griffin.
Was that a walk? I think
I
that
don't
was
know.
a...
You know what? I never really broke it down like that. I was just so excited. To me, it's hands down play of the year thus far. Best play of 2013 in any sport.
You know what's crazy?
It was awesome.
I think it was more so on Blake because he barely got the ball over the rim when he tossed it. I don't even think the ball went over the rim when he tossed the ball up. And Blake came in behind him and grabbed it out of the air and did that windmill. And I thought, oh, my gosh. I saw that highlight 3 times and thought, whoo, that was creative. But to see him go between his legs and do that, I was like, man, are they just toying with teams? So they were that relaxed.
Team video game.
Yeah, I mean, they were that relaxed, and Blake is that kind of highlight film. So, like I said, when Blake consistently hits that 15 or 17-footer, the Clippers are going to turn into something different.
That play aside, Blake Griffin and Jamal Crawford both had pretty huge games last night. Crawford, he's got to be the sixth man of the year, right? Is there anyone even in the conversation anymore? Are they still talking about J.R. Smith, or is everyone just pretty much agreed, hey, Jamal Crawford is the best bench player in the NBA this season?
We know if Jamal Crawford was more disciplined, he'd be a starter. So, he plays starters minutes off the bench. Because he comes in with the green light to just throw him.
When healthy, though, I completely understand why a team like the Clippers would start Chauncey Billups, though, because you do got a lot of young guys, and you need that veteran leadership. I understand why Billups starts, and, let's not get it twisted. He still is Mr. Big Shot. He just can't stay healthy.
Is he injured right now?
It's something minor resting? Again. I think it might just be rest, to be honest. They keep coming up with these little, like it might be an ankle one day, but you know what? I never thought about that. It probably is just rest because he's getting up there.
If you look at a guy that, like you said, has been nicked up for the last 2 years, and you're talking about a playoff guy, he's going to be around for the playoffs and help that team with their mental aspect of playing in the playoffs. You need him. You can't win without him mentally. So I wouldn't play him that much either. And like you said, they're 20-something odd games over 500. They're either going to be a 2, 3, or a 4. That's not a problem. They're going to have home seed the first. They want home seed the second round. So they really got to move up into that second position to get that. So you never know. I think they're going to go for that. And if so, Billups is going to start playing more minutes because they need to get to that second seed.
See, that's interesting, the seeding positions you're talking about, because I wanted to mention that in this next segment here. But before we leave the Clippers, I got them finishing third, and I'll get to that in just a second.
Okay.
Well, let's talk the Los Angeles Lakers, my favorite thing in the world. Now, real quick, before it gets too stale, let me tell you why I like the Clippers finishing in third. San Antonio, of course, we know has lost Tony Parker for about a month. Okay. Oklahoma City is Oklahoma City. I see them getting the number 1 seed. San Antonio, without their, clearly best player this season, Tony Parker, being gone for a month, that's going to hurt them, but it's not going to kill them. They won a game the other night, by 30 points without him. Yeah, so... But I do see them drop into the 2 seed. Oklahoma City with the 1. Clippers trying to get to the 2, not quite making it, falling short, being the 3 seed. Now, back to my Lakers. We are now, with the 25-point come-from-behind victory last night, and thanks to Kyrie Irving's late scoring against Utah... We're now 1.5 games behind the Jazz for the 8th seed, but we're also 2 games behind Houston for the 7th seed, and only 4 games behind Golden State for the 6th seed. So, I've looked at the schedule of all of those teams, and the way I see things happening, Utah missing the playoffs, Houston finishing 8th, and this is, fingers crossed, Golden State falling all the way to the 7th, and the Lakers finishing 6th, playing the Clippers in the first round. Can you imagine a whole series that's all home games?
That would be interesting, but do you really want that?
I'd love to see it.
And the reason I say that is this way. If I would rather San Antonio be 2, if that's the case, and the Lakers finish in 7th and play San Antonio.
With that, though, to me, it would depend on where Parker's at with coming back from the injury.
I think even when Parker comes back, they match up better against San Antonio than they do with the Clippers. They can't run with the Clippers.
Well, the Clippers aren't going to run in the playoffs, though.
That's the hope. That's the hope. I don't see where the Clippers are going to stop running. I don't think the Clippers will voluntarily stop running. I think you have to stop them. And the Lakers haven't been disciplined enough to keep any team from running their tempo in the season. How do you do that? Make buckets, play better defense, and have teams taking the ball out of the hoop. That's like Denver. Denver runs even when the ball goes through the hoop. Teams don't run away from their strength just because it's the playoffs. So I see the Clippers in moving their rotation down to 8 from 10. So they're going to tighten that up. And then you're talking about moving. Bledsoe comes in the game. Do you think he's going to walk the ball? I don't see it happening. So I don't think the Lakers want to play them or Denver in the first round. So, yeah, I'm thinking 7th.
I don't want to see Denver at all in the playoffs. It just seems, and we've talked about this many times, for Reed, McGee, Lawson, and especially Corey Brewer just seem to get up to play the Lakers. Like, I can't think of a game since Denver's had Corey Brewer that the Lakers have played them and lost, where he wasn't the reason we lost. Like, he just is at his best as an NBA player with Denver against the Lakers. I don't want to see them at all in the playoffs. That's a team that frightens me.
Really? See, and that's something. It's a young team, too.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's a very young team, and they have that kind of energy, and they just run. Carl is a great coach. I really like what Carl does with younger talent, smaller talent, except McGee, because McGee wants to kill the Lakers, and it's amazing how well he plays against them. But I'm looking at DeAndre Jordan and Blake and those guys, and I'm thinking, how are they going to run with them? They'd be better against San Antonio. And he even played well against OKC. They just couldn't stop Westbrook.
Well, we can't win in that building is what the problem is. 9 straight now.
Maybe that's what. It's a mental thing.
Yeah,
it's a mental thing.
It might be.
So we'll see when those playoffs start what it's going to look like.
What I was going to say also as far as the playoff positioning, we're going to get some help in the schedule tomorrow. Utah has to play at Chicago, very good home team. And we are playing at home against Toronto, and Houston and Golden State play each other. So no matter who wins that one, we're getting help in that game. And, Chicago at home against Utah, you got to believe Chicago's going to win that. Al Jefferson's been out 3 games. He might not be back for the Chicago game. If he's not back, you could guarantee it that the Bulls are going to win that game.
So what's the scenario you want? You want Golden State to win or Houston to win?
I want Houston to win.
You want to bring Golden State back?
Yeah, I want to get Golden State closer. I'm not worried about catching Houston, being that it's only 2 games, but Golden State at 4, I would like to see Houston beat Golden State.
Where are they playing? Are they playing in Texas?
It is in Golden State, I believe.
Oh, then give that to GS. They're going to lose to Houston at home. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in Golden State.
Curry's going to score 30, and I look at Thompson to score in the mid-20s, and Lee's going to play well. I like Lee. So
it's going to be a shootout with Harden and Curry, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Those guys like to shoot.
But you know what? If that's the case, I don't think Houston plays as well when he scores high. I think some of the players stand around and watch him.
That's a good point.
So it's going to be quite interesting. That's why I like GS. Golden State moves the ball, and they all can score. At least 4 guys on that team can put up points. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Both those games tomorrow night. Let's move on and talk some college basketball. So I mentioned at the top of the program, we got another new number 1 in college basketball.
29-2.
Gonzaga.
And what are they? They're in Washington, right?
Sure.
I thought have we even heard of the school?
I thought they were in D.C.
Gonzaga? I thought they were in Washington.
Washington State?
Yeah, Washington State.
Oh, I thought it was D.C. this whole time.
Yeah, but it's one of those schools, no, because they're playing the far west. They're playing in
That's
the West
right, because they get to play,
Portland.
University of San Diego and Portland twice. And, we were looking at their schedule earlier today. They're 29-2. They've only had 3 games against ranked teams. They've lost 2 of them. And the one that they won was against, at the time, the 22nd ranked team. They won that game by 1 point. I still can't wrap my head around how they're number 1. I thought strength of schedule was supposed to be, the big determining factor in the top 25. But not really the point I want to make right now. The point I want to make is the one that we've both made for several weeks now. This is such a wide open college basketball season. There's no one clear dominant team that looks like, they're the team to beat. From week to week, granted about every 3rd week it seems to be Indiana, but from week to week it's a different team every week.
Every week, and it's surprising. I'm watching Georgetown go against Villanova, and Georgetown wins the game. They can win the Big East, and they lose to Villanova, who hasn't won many games this year. And I'm looking at that thinking, are they just choke artists? A little foul troubling guys, but they're a 5th-rated team in the country with the pressure on them. If they get a win, they win the outright Big East. Now they're hoping for a share. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. You look at them, Michigan lost.
I want to stop you real quick and answer, I don't know if it was a rhetorical question or not, but you just mentioned or asked, are Georgetown choke artists? You know that they are. I think you know the answer to that. Yes, Georgetown has forever been choke artists.
I wouldn't say forever.
Well, not forever.
I wouldn't say
there
forever.
There were some good years, but they've broken my heart and busted my bracket too many years. I'm tired of picking them, and I won't do it again. I would
say when Thompson III took over the team, they still haven't gotten a complete team. and I will say his dad had the closest thing those 3 years being in the Final Four in the 80s to just dominating basketball. But again, they lost 2 out of 3 of those.
Right.
You know, even though Villanova played the perfect game when they lost in 85, but also their point guard was high on cocaine. So he wasn't going to run out of energy at all that night, which should have been eliminated.
Damn,
when
you
they
almost just made me choke on a Skittle right now with that one.
You know, so I look at them in their history and I say they've either been forward or center heavy or they've been guard heavy. They've not had complete teams. Right now, I think they have guards and forwards. They play very well, but they still lose big games. But it was surprising. They played Syracuse last week in the Carrier Dome and beat Syracuse in a big game. And I thought how great they get to play Villanova. They can clinch the Big East and they lose. So, you know, I don't understand, but you're right. You got Miami who's lost their last 2 games.
I was just going to bring up Miami losing
Michigan's
their last 2.
lost a couple of their last games, and I'm like, what is going on?
This isn't, you know, anywhere near the top of the top 25, but, you know, I'm a UCLA Bruins fan, and came into the week 23rd. We just lost to an unranked. It looks like we're dropping out of the top 25 this Monday as well.
Yeah, but I think we talked about it. They're still not in danger of making the NCAA playoffs. They're still going to make the tournament. So,
right.
You know, so who cares about the top? This is the way I look at it. That's why I love college basketball. Whether you're in the top 25, top 30 in the country, as long as you're in the big dance and you're not at the 8th seed, because I think whoever the 8th seed is a problem, because you're playing the 9th. You're playing the most even game you can play in that 8th, 9th seed.
Oh, the 8-9?
Yeah.
They even got a commercial now with Barkley, and he's filling out his bracket with his assistant. The 8-9, and he just flips a coin for it. Like,
yeah, you know.
It is a coin toss, the 8-9 matchup.
Yeah.
It always is. But you know what? Those are some of the best games in the tournament, the 8-9.
Absolutely. For us, for fans,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, it's the best thing to watch. But when you're looking at guys, man, that are number 1, 2, and 3 seeds, it's ridiculous. You know, because they have nobody to play, and then they lose one every year.
So anyways, the Gonzaga Bulldogs are the new top 25 number 1. Who knows for how long? Seems to be changing every week. We'll be right back with more Fanalize This.
Rhythm Riders, the 3-piece SoCal hip-hop collective and underground vets released their highly anticipated debut album.
One thing and one other, it's one right after each other. Just trying to make a break between reload and take cover. One man balancing act between both.
Rhythm Riders is the raw realism of J-Ray.
Rock bottom, I just keep it falling. Fearless gang, no chain, white tee, no stain. Swagger ill, on chill, tell me how the bottom feel. I keep it real, no steel, never had the need to kill.
The sleeper hold styles of Mr. Crowley, and the laid-back lyricism of AWACS. Featuring the singles Mozart of War and God's Blood.
Gotta get it now, while the demons surround me and murder every track. Rhythm Riders rock proudly.
Also, title track and smash single Be the Change featuring King Magnetic from Army of Pharaohs.
In the West and at the industry's direction, no discretion, no connection to the wretched that molests us with the message of their method.
Available on iTunes.
DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid.
What?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
What?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
UOU on the air with B-Stock and K Pena. Wednesdays from 8 till 9 p.m. UOU.
Please don't let that be the new norm. We don't need men hitting women and it becoming okay. It's already, we've already made so many things okay.
Look at what we're doing. We're using social media right now. We're using it for something good and positive, so you can't blame social media.
Let me tell you something. If I told you some high school stories, I know some girls that'll put some things in their mouth. If I'm watching the show, trying to cook something to eat and talk to you, it's going to have to be via text.
Well, I'll put my headset in. I'll be like, hold up, because I need my hands to do whatever I'm trying to do. UOU. Unique.
Objective.
Useful.
UOU. Take your mom or your grandma, somebody who would really enjoy a classic like the Nutcracker. It'd be great, good family time.
Fall asleep, and if I waste $68 some odd dollars and Grandma fell asleep through the whole show, I'm gonna be real upset, Grandma.
I don't know. I think she'd just be glad she went. Just, oh my God, thank you, baby. I had such a wonderful time.
I had a great nap.
I had a good time.
UOU, you know you love us.
Hey everybody, what's good? This is Mike Noel coming at you live on behalf of No Salary Cap Radio. We ask you to check us out every Monday from 6 to 8 on Spreaker.com. We're a brand new sports lifestyle show. We're going to be giving you updates on all your favorite sports teams, fashion, everything that has to do with the world around you. Also, shout out my man Mike and Joe for Fanalize This. Check us out, man. No Salary Cap Radio on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to Fanalyze This. It's your boy J5 with AP.
We got just 2 games on the NBA schedule tonight, but they're 2 really good ones. At 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we got OKC playing at MSG against the New York Knicks. And at 7:30, it's the Clippers going to Denver to play the Nuggets. Well, I know you're about to be happy.
Why
Let's
is
talk
that?
some baseball. Well, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to be a little selfish at first, but it'll be worth it in the end for you, so trust me on this one, okay?
Make it happen.
I want to start, big surprise here, talking about my Angels, but trust me here, just stay with me, and this will end up working out for you in a minute. So let's talk about my Angels. Yesterday, it was a game that didn't count. We played Team Italy, whole World Baseball Classic thing. We didn't start, I don't think, one everyday player. Weaver pitched well, though. So what I want to do is go back to, I guess that would have been Monday, our last real game, and talk about Trout. A lot of talk has been made about the extra weight he's had coming in, and is it going to slow him down, and they moved him to left, and you see what he did the other day? Spring training or not, turning a single into a double, the third strike was dropped, he still reached first base, he got his first stolen base. The speed's still there, and the weight's already dropping. They said it's only like 10 pounds, and that he's already lost like 3 or 4 anyways, so I think Trout's going to be ready. I mean, we got 25 days before opening day.
Is it that many?
It's 25 days, because Tuesday,
the
when we were doing the
back.
show.
The season's moved back then.
Well, on Tuesday, when we were going to do the show, the picture that the MLB.com had posted was 27 days away, but it was, Mike Trout, because number 27. So since that's 2 days ago, it's now 25 days away from opening day.
So opening day must be in April now, and not going to be at the end of March.
Correct.
Okay, because I thought it was going to be like March 30th was the first day of the league starting. So I guess they're moving it back because of the Classic, and then people need more time to still prepare.
Yes, just because of the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, and who cares about that?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm still trying to understand why I understand why they're doing it, because they want to brand Major League Baseball throughout the world. Is all they're doing. So you can have more and more talent going out and more people being excited. But yeah, I like your Angels. I really do.
I also wanted to bring up, because I know you're a huge fan of him as well, Albert finally saw some plate appearances, and he didn't get a hit, but at least Albert's now, finally doing something. It looks like the knee's coming along nicely.
Well, he said, I saw something on him saying that he hasn't yet gotten to full strength, though he feels better, even though he struck out, grounded out, and did something else. He said, it's coming along.
Well, did you see the ground out?
No.
He didn't even run out of the box.
Yeah, so that tells you he's not running the bases.
He didn't even run out of the box.
So, and that's Albert in a good year. He might trot down the first if it's a ground ball. So hopefully that won't bother you Angel fans later on. But I'm looking at Major League Baseball, and I'm just so excited because we're talking about, teams all around that have shots to win the playoffs or get into the playoffs this year. It seems like the only team that might not make it with all the money they spend are the Yankees. I mean, it seems like most of their team is going to be in the hospital somewhere or mending somewhere in some therapeutic stage. So I don't get it, though. Rivera should have pitched yesterday. I haven't gotten the results on him, but he was supposed to pitch in his first spring training game yesterday, which is really good. And Jeter is supposed to be playing this week. So I'm looking at them, but they just lost to Sherry yesterday.
I want to get to the Yankees and the rest of the league in a minute, but,
okay.
We got a lot of Homer fans here, so we got to talk about the Dodgers first.
Please do.
We got to talk about the Dodgers.
Oh, my gosh.
The Dodgers. Holy crap. Are we going to see another 100-win team this year?
I look at the Dodgers, man, and I say if they can come across, or I should say stay healthy. Carl Crawford plays in left field. I look at their lineup, man. You got Carl Crawford in left. You got Kemp in center. Ethier in right field. Those are 3 all-star players.
Absolutely.
You got Adrian Gonzalez at first base. Henley Ramirez at shortstop. That's 5 everyday players that are all-star caliber players. Their catcher, their third baseman, their second baseman, average to better than average. I don't know about the catcher so much, but they had some timely hitting. I look at their pitching, and that's one thing you and I talked about as a hit and miss. I think they have one great
the catcher's
pitcher.
more of an offensive guy, right? Wasn't he like 8th in on-base percentage or something like that?
Well, yeah, but it's one of those things that is he going to hit well? If he continues to hit well, then that's icing on the cake. Anybody that gets great production out of a catcher that handles a team well is icing on the cake. So I look at a guy like that. If he can hit 280 or above, that's icing to me. He's going to walk. Wonderful guy. You can't go wrong with that. You look at their starting 5. Go ahead.
And the other thing I was going to say about the Dodgers, if you've been following, they have 8 pitchers that are capable of being starting pitchers right now. I think it was Milwaukee and, who else was it? Milwaukee and someone, I think it might have been Houston, actually. They were at a Dodgers game scouting Harang. So you look at the commodities the Dodgers have also, they might be able to bulk up their farm system and be, kind of a powerhouse for years to come.
If they
Basically,
do well.
what I'm saying is they've got a lot of guys they don't need on their major league roster right now. A lot of tradable players. I got what you're saying. They got chips to use to do other things with. You said Lilly, Capuano, and Harang. 3 guys who have major league experience of 6 or 7 years or more that are innings eaters. And you go, wow, okay, they can be either. I keep 6 starters on my team, 1 for long relieving, and then 1 in case one of my other guys gets injured. So you got to keep at least 6. If you can move one of those guys for kind of like what the Angels do with Jerome Williams.
Right. Where he's a spot starter and a guy that can pitch long innings.
Just in case something happens.
Somebody gets blown up, he can come in the 3rd inning and pitch for 5 or 6 innings and then tide you over, and you don't worry about your rotation being hurt. But I look at them and I say Kershaw and Greinke, and if Beckett comes back and is good.
Kershaw?
See, that's the thing. Kershaw is a great young pitcher.
I like him.
That's the thing. He's a great young pitcher. And I'm the guy that said I thought Billingsley was a better pitcher than Kershaw until he got hurt. Because, Billingsley has the no-hitter. Kershaw hasn't thrown a no-hitter. So I look at Billingsley's stuff, and I'm thinking, this dude is a very good pitcher, but he's coming off of surgery. So if he comes back healthy, I'm looking at, and I don't know the guy they got from China or Korea.
He's Korean.
You look at them and say they might have 4 very good pitchers, possibly 5 on their roster, which makes them crazy good. I don't know how well their closer is going to be, and that's the thing. They have 2 guys in that 8th and 9th position, as closers and setup guy, Belisario and one other guy. Belisario I really like.
Real quick about Ryu, the Korean kid.
Mm-hmm.
He had came in the 4th yesterday. He struck out 5 and gave up 3 hits. So I think he's coming along too.
Yeah, but and that can be deceiving because you don't know what type of competitions he's throwing against. He could be throwing against AA, AAA.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. They played against Team Mexico yesterday.
Yeah, so you
Which
never
is
really
basically
know.
like a split squad game versus each other with the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't racist, was it?
No, I wouldn't say it's
okay.
It's not. Don't say AAA. So you say it's like a split squad. You're playing against professional players just from a different league.
Well, I meant because so many of the Dodgers players happen to be Mexican.
Ooh, I don't think so. Not anymore.
No.
Very few. They might have some from Latin countries. Yeah, but very few Mexican players on the Dodgers team. Gonzalez would be the only one that I know of.
No, there's 2 of them that are starting for the WBC in Mexico. I'd have to look it up, but there's definitely 2 Dodgers at least.
Okay. How about that?
Okay, so remember when I said I was going to be selfish and I wanted to talk about the Angels and then added the Dodgers as well? I want to talk about the rest of the league, but I'm going to throw it over to you. We want to hear what AP has to say about the rest of the league because he is the baseball expert here at Fanalyze This.
No, I'm going to tell you this. What I am is as a lover of baseball, more so than basketball and football. So I'm looking at Major League Baseball like this. There's like 10, 11 teams that I look at that might have a shot to get to the World Series. I'm a St. Louis homer. I live and breathe Cardinal Red. So, I'm not against the Dodgers, but I'm a Cardinal guy. But I look at them and I say, man, all the injuries that's going on in Major League Baseball, you look at the Yankees with their injuries, man, it's ridiculous who they're going to field right now. So I look at them, I look at Tampa Bay, and I say they're a good young team, but they may be missing some pieces because they let too much go. They have a couple of good starters still left on that team. Longoria, as we've talked about, as a solid foundation guy at third base. But then again, they let Carl Crawford go. I
gotta stop you just once real quick. I was a little upset that Tampa locked up Longoria, being a Southern California guy. I would have just wishful thinking. Would have loved him to see him on the corner for the Angels one day, but it doesn't look like he's going to be in a uniform other than a Rays for quite some time.
Which is true, but you know what? I think they locked him up because he's one of those great community guys, and they needed to lock somebody up. So they locked up Price, too. As a pitcher, they don't lock up very many people in Tampa. So you look at them and say, who do they really have? They don't really have a lot of outstanding talent. They have good pitching. They've been, last place finishers for so long that their last 5 years, they've always been close to the playoffs because they got some of the best pitching in baseball. I look at the Baltimore Orioles, a very young team, but made the playoffs last year, and they're going to be scrapping to get back there. And then there's your Toronto mix of players that you look at and say, man, they signed some really good players. And I say they signed one excellent pitcher, Josh Johnson, and hoping that he comes back on the mend from where he was in Florida.
We've talked about this. That's the wild card in that trade.
Absolutely, because to me, Burley is a 500 or better pitcher that's going to keep you in games and eat innings. He's going to go 6.5 to 7 innings a game. But if Josh Johnson can come back and be the lead on that team, and now that they got R.A. Dickey and they believe that he's going to be a guy that can win in the American League because he's throwing that knuckle curve or whatever it is that he's
the
throwing.
Whole baseball world, it fell for it or believed it, however you want to call it, last season.
I mean, because a knuckleball is hard to hit, and if you can control it and you have this little slurve curve that he has, but then again, in his career, you've not really heard of him, and he's been pitching for like 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's a knuckleballer. I can't remember, any American League team going up against Boston and going, oh, crap, we got Wakefield today.
Yeah, well, I got to say, though, Wakefield did keep Boston in a lot of games, but then again,
he
Boston
did. I'm not
scored
saying
a lot
he's a
of
bad
runs.
pitcher. That was no knock on Tim Wakefield. I'm just saying, you're a knuckleballer. You don't scare me.
Yeah, he didn't scare me in Pittsburgh either. So I'm looking at him going, yeah, whatever. Cincinnati, I'm looking at the National League because that's my favorite thing. I look at the National League and I'm going, man, I'm looking at the Cincinnati Reds, who are my Cardinals' #1 team to go against. I'm looking at them like, man, they're going to be a juggernaut. And if, as we talked about, Chapman moving from the closer role into the starting rotation. I know, but if they don't, could you imagine a guy that throws as hard as he does? His only downfall is his control is terrible. So can he pitch 6 innings? Can he go more than 5 innings with that fastball and a little bit of a curve? Or is he going to be one of these guys that throw at 99 to 100 miles an hour straight down the middle or on the corners and gets whipped, and he has to hurt his neck looking at the balls leaving?
Have they made a decision one way or another? Has Dusty Baker, is he coming out of the pen, or is he
he's in the
officially a
rotation.
starter?
Right now in spring training, they're stretching him out. They're keeping him in games so that he can be a starting pitcher. So it's official because
not only do the Angels have to start the season on the road in Cincinnati, but we're going to have to see Chapman in the first week of baseball too.
Can you imagine that?
Holy crap.
Because Cincinnati has a very good rotation to begin with, and Broxton became their setup guy last year. Now he's going to be their closer this year. And I look at them and I say, man, they're going to be formidable, to say the least. They won 95 games last year. And I'm saying, where did they have a downfall? Their first baseman, who was that young guy, very good, was injured, came back. They're strong. So I look at them. I'm looking at them, the Cardinals, the Giants, and the Dodgers.
You're talking about Joey Votto, right?
Joey Votto.
You know what? Just real quick note on Joey Votto. I didn't know this till I was reading the paper the other day about the WBC. Didn't know he was Canadian.
Oh, I didn't know either. I thought he was playing for America.
Yeah, no. Joey Votto, Team Canada.
Oh, there
Team
you
captain.
Go. Well, there you
I
go.
had no idea he was Canadian.
Neither did I. Well, then again, a lot of Canadians are just North Americans.
Right.
So they are neighbors up north. But I look at those guys, and that's why I said the toughest division is going to be the East, because you're looking at Philadelphia rebounding, you're looking at Atlanta and Washington, and you're going, wow, who's going to come out of that division? They say that Washington's probably going to come out of there, but then you look at Atlanta and what they've done. Maybe the best outfield in the National League, going against your Angels for the best in baseball. I mean, well, then again, I say the Angels have the best corner outfielders and a very good center fielder that can't hit.
We got 3 center fielders starting in the outfield this year.
You know what? I don't think Hamilton has the same speed anymore to play the center field like the other two can. Because the other two can just fly.
Yeah, Borges and Trout have blistering speed. They're up there with what's the dude from Pittsburgh with the long hair? Has the Irish name.
Oh, gosh. I know you're talking about, and it just escaped me.
They have that kind of speed.
Yeah, no, they have lights out
Andrew
speed.
McCutchen.
Andrew, I really love what they do with speed, but we'll see how that works out. But like I said, I'm looking at your boys, the Angels. If their pitching comes around, my gosh, because right now they're looking at Vargas as the 5th starter and Blanton being the 4th starter.
Really?
If Vargas is a solid 5th starter, the Angels are going to win the West.
That's funny because I thought it would be completely the other way around. I thought it was looking like Vargas and what's his name from Atlanta, Tommy Hanson, were trying to compete for the 3 spot. And then, whoever loses out is the 4. And I had Blanton locked in as the 5. So they're saying Blanton's going to be the 4 and Vargas the 5th, huh?
Yeah, and which is surprising to me.
So that makes Hansen the 3rd? I kind of like that.
Yeah,
like
so that's what I'm
Hansen.
saying. If they all come through and pitch up to their expectation, because to me, like I told you, Vargas in Seattle was a better than average pitcher. He just didn't have a lot of run support, but he still pitched well. I mean, everybody talked about Felix there, but Vargas was a very good number 2 there.
You know what, though? I would have to look at the 5 of them and see, who's left, right, for that to make sense to me.
Well, CJ's
I know Vargas
a lefty.
is a lefty.
So CJ's a lefty.
But I don't know. I mean, you know this. I'm not so much a National League guy. I don't know all that much about Tommy Hansen and Joe Blanton. I only know about him from when he was with the Dodgers because they're one of the home teams. So I don't really know who's left, who's right, and all
Blanton's
that.
a
I'd have
righty.
to look it up.
Blanton's a righty, and I believe Tommy Hansen's a righty too. I think you got 2 lefty. Well, if Vargas a lefty, I'm not sure.
Vargas is a lefty.
So you got 2 lefties on the team and 3 righties.
Okay, so we're going right, left, right, left.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Which
So
is not bad.
I guess I get it. I just, left, right, left makes more sense to me. Okay.
Yeah, and you have guys that are throwing off speed because Wilson's not a fireballer. Weavers are more of a harder thrower. So, no, I love your Angels.
There's one thing I was about to change to the next topic, but I didn't hear you mention your St. Louis Cardinals at all in there.
Well, see, my St. Louis Cardinals are a problem because we just lost for Call for the rest of the year. He's going to have Tommy John surgery. He's gone.
Oh, it's the whole year now?
He's
I
having
knew he was
Tommy John
getting
surgery.
reevaluated from the dude that fixed Peterson's knee and all that, but it's done for the year, huh?
He's done.
I hadn't heard that. That's big.
So I'm looking at them and I'm saying, who's going to play shortstop? They have a guy named Jackson out of AAA that they're allowing him to play, but part of the problem with the Cardinals, they don't want to have him enter into, I think, his 6-year term before he can be a free agent before, you know what I mean? They want to pay him. So they're looking at using Cosma as their everyday shortstop, and he's not very good. He was okay, but Jackson outplayed him in AAA, though Cosma came up and played last year when Furcal got hurt. So, but I look at them and I say, man, I don't like that because we just lost Carpenter, too. So we lost 2 mainstays on that team, and I think they may have a hard time making the playoffs. Now I said I thought it was going to be either them, the Giants, or the Dodgers coming in because one of those 2 teams are going to be wild cards out of the 3.
Right.
So I think the Cardinals are in trouble, and it may be a Dodger with a Giant wild card, with Washington maybe winning the East, and then Atlanta and Philly fighting for the wild card.
This is so funny to me because, obviously I couldn't have predicted the injuries that have hit your Cardinals, but when we did the 30 teams in 30 minutes a few weeks back, it was your Cardinals that I had missing the playoffs also, and it sounds like your picks now are exactly the same as mine in the National League because I think that was the one thing that we differed on. You had your Cardinals making the playoffs, and I think it might have been the Giants you had missing. It was one of the West teams you had missing.
It was either the Giants missing, depending on the injury. Because I said if Philly comes back strong, Philly has great offense and great pitching. If they come back strong, 3 teams in the East can fight for 2 spots.
If they come back strong.
Yeah, and if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass when he hopped.
Just saying.
Yeah, and everything's an if. So if it's an if, you're right, it's a 5th, and it could be a whole lot of other things. So we'll look at that.
Moving on to the next subject. Well, in case you missed it, Joe Flacco got a bit of a raise.
Who?
Joe Flacco. You know, that elite quarterback in the NFL.
At least he quarterbacked the team I wanted to win the Super Bowl, but I still have trouble calling him elite. I call him a great playoff quarterback. He has been for the last 2 years.
And so do our loyal fans. You got a man crush on Anquan Bolden. The same thing you say about me and Derek Jeter. That's you and Anquan Bolden. So I understand why you wouldn't find Joe Flacco an elite quarterback. But this contract he was just given, they're paying him like he's an elite quarterback. $120.6 million 6-year deal. $29 million signing bonus. $52 million of that's guaranteed. And he gets $51 million of it in the first 2 seasons.
But you know what he said that got me? He said, with this contract, I feel respected. Really? Is that what it is that makes you feel respected? I mean, I look at him and I say, if I look at him and I only look at his playoff numbers and what he's done, then I say you absolutely need to pay this guy.
He's definitely much better in the playoffs than he is in the regular season.
But his regular season quarterbacking is really average. And I mean, because I look at Baltimore as an offense and I say, when we think about great throwers, you're talking about guys that are throwing the ball 250, 275, 300 yards plus. He's like a 150, 175 yard a game guy. And to me, that doesn't seem elite. You know, it seems like his defense gets him there. Ray Rice gets him there, and then it's Flacco in the playoffs. And I'll give him his props. But I will say he threw to Anquan Bolden on that sideline. He just tossed it up, and Anquan went and got it. So when I see things like that, I'm saying, is that the pitcher or is that the catcher?
Well, let's
you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, you're talking about pitchers and catchers, and that, just after talking about your man crush, it just threw me off a little bit. But anyways, let's talk about your boy Bolden, because with Flacco getting this deal, someone ain't coming back to Baltimore, and it's looking like it's Anquan.
They haven't released him yet, and I haven't heard the big stir, but they said he could be one of the salary cap, casualties, and that hurts my heart. Well, I really like him.
To me, they have to re-sign Ed Reed, because with Lewis retiring, he's now your veteran leader on that defense. And you gave Flacco all this money, which, I think, based on his playoff numbers also, that he deserved it. Did win a Super Bowl, did get the Super Bowl MVP. But someone's got to go, and it looks like it's going to be Anquan Bolden. So it'll be interesting next year, after Flacco's now gotten all this money, if he doesn't have a receiver that can just go up there and get it, like Anquan Bolden in his humongous hands. It should be interesting how well he fares with, different receiving core. He's still going to have Torrey Smith. He's still going to have Jacoby Jones. But, Bolden's the guy for sure.
I got to say, Torrey Smith stretched the field for them, no doubt about it. But I'll even say that touchdown pass he caught, he outran the quarterback's arm. He was waiting for the ball, and the defensive guy outran him trying to get him when he fell down after he caught it. And I thought, Flacco, you're a good quarterback, but if you're hitting guys on the money, yeah, I'm going to give you all your props in the world. But I really think the receivers had him looking a lot better than he did. Like, he wasn't a Marino out there where he pinpointed, or he wasn't, what's my boy in Denver?
Now?
No.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. One of the greatest regular season quarterbacks, but he hits his guys on the money. That's not Flacco.
You're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel that same way, that Flacco's receivers make him look like an elite quarterback, that he isn't actually the guy.
Yeah, it takes two to tangle in his in his camp. So, he did it, he got it, and we'll see what happens.
Moving on to your absolute favorite thing in the world, the NHL. Got to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks streak, because as impressive as Miami's 16 in a row is, this might be the best streak going on in sports right now. They have a point streak that's 29 games in a row now, dating back to last season. It's the second longest in the history of the NHL. It was 78 or I think 79 Flyers, who I hate, had 35-game point streak. But Chicago now up to 29-game point streak. There's 20-0-3. The only times they've lost at all this season were in shootouts.
Which is something no other sport can do.
Right.
So, as I've heard it, what kind of streak is it really? And you say a point streak because it's not a win streak. It's a point streak. So, yeah, no, they're a very good hockey team. Like I said, they didn't win last year.
At the same time, I think it could be said that it's that many games without a loss as well, because losing in a shootout doesn't count against you as a loss.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
no, it's a loss. It's just not a loss in regulation.
Yeah,
but
so
it's a loss.
You still get points.
Well, see, I know, but a win is 2 points.
Yeah.
So if you only get 1 point, you lost the game.
Yeah,
you just lost it in overtime.
For going to the shootout, whether you win or lose, you're still getting that point.
Oh no, absolutely, but it's a loss.
Which is why.
But I'm saying at the end of the day, it's still an L. And if it was other sports, you don't get any credit for an L. So hockey is unique in that now they no longer have ties. Hockey used to have ties, and they took those out because they wanted to have just wins and losses, but they still give the point as if it were a tie.
What's crazy to me about this streak is that the Central Division in the West, that's hockey right there. That's the competitive division to me. You got, stupid Red Wings, you got your St. Louis Blues, you got the Chicago Blackhawks. Like, that's usually such a competitive division. Looking at it right now, Chicago at 20-0-3, 45 points. Detroit's in second, only 26 points.
But like you said, competitive, 26, 24, 23.
26, 24,
so
23,
the rest
18.
of them are grouped. So you look at theirs, and you look at the next division over.
Yeah, let me cover that real quick. Looking at the divisions, over in the Pacific, we got the Ducks on top, 16-3-3, 35 points, just ahead of the Kings, who just keep going back and forth from the top and the bottom of their division this year. But they're 12-7-2, 26 points. That's, although very close to it, 26, 25, 24 with San Jose, Phoenix, and Dallas. Over in the Northwest, Vancouver's 11-6-5 with 27, but Minnesota 11-9-2 with 24, not too far behind them. My Pittsburgh Penguins 15-8-0. We still haven't lost an overtime game? Wow.
No, you either win or lose in regulation.
No, I know, but they would put in the OT category. If
No, that's what I'm saying. That's
lost.
what I'm saying. In regulation, they either win or lose in regulation. They haven't had an overtime game. That's
At
all
all?
that's
We
saying.
haven't had an overtime game?
That's what that would be. They haven't had an
wow,
overtime
getting it
game.
wrong. Wow. Well, we're getting it down when it happens. Well, anyways, Penguins with 30 points, leading the Atlantic. Northeast Montreal, 14-5-4, 32 points. Boston right on their butt, 14-3-3 with 31 points. Really, Toronto's not out of that either, 15-9-0 with 30 points. And going down to the Southeast, Carolina's 13-8-1 with 27 points. That's not really close. They're handling that division right now. But yeah, going back to this Chicago streak. Have you watched? This is gonna sound like a stupid question, but have you watched any of these games?
I haven't watched the whole game, but I've seen bits and pieces of games and highlights of people in the one-on-one and the overtime, when they're doing the shootouts, which to me is when it gets really exciting. Because I've watched some
I'm
hockey
glad you
games.
said that because that's what I wanted to bring up. Patrick Kane, he's a player with the guy with the long hair for the Blackhawks. He had a shootout goal the other night and I don't know why more players don't do this. Like, he skated up as slow as possible, and he just stopped, and he just, the goalie just kind of, quit on him, and he flipped it right in, and then they won in overtime. Like, that guy's good.
It's almost like watching soccer. You see guys in soccer that come up for that kick. It's the same sort of thing. You're in a tie. You have that overtime time where you can go, you're shooting it out. And they're kicking, and they never stop. They run up and kick it real hard, real fast. And every now and then you'll see a guy in soccer run up real slow and figure out which way to go, and then have the defenseman try to stop him, the goalie, and then just guess and go the wrong way. So what you're talking about is he came up really slow and stopped, and the guy's like, which way is he going to go, which way is he going to go, and then flipped it.
It wasn't the most exciting of goals, but damn, I thought it was a smart play.
No, it's a win.
Going to take another quick break and be back with more Fanalize This.
Can I help you? Can I help you? What do you do? I do it all. Have a seat. I will, because that's something I can do. Do something. Do something. I am. I did. What did you do? It's already done. What did you do? I helped you. Are you drunk? Not drunk enough.
Rhythm Riders, the three-piece SoCal hip-hop collective and underground vets, released their highly anticipated debut album.
One thing and one other, it's one right after each other. Just trying to make a break between reload and take cover. One man balancing act between both.
Rhythm Riders is the raw realism of J. Ray.
Rock bottom, but just keep falling. Fearless gang, no change. White tee, no stain. Swagger ill, on chill. Tell me how the bottom feel. I keep it real, no steel. Never had the need to kill.
The sleeper hold styles of Mr. Crowley, and the laid-back lyricism of AWACS. Featuring the singles Mo's Art of War and God's Blood.
Gotta get it now, or the demons surround me and murder every track. Rhythm Riders rock proudly.
Also, title track and smash single Be the Change, featuring King Magnetic from Army of Pharaohs.
In the West and at the industry's direction, no discretion, no connection to the wretched that molests us with the message of their method.
Available on iTunes.
DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid.
What?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
What?
Deoxyribonucleic acid.
UOU on the air with B-Stock and K Pena. Wednesdays from 8 till 9 p.m. UOU.
Please don't let that be the new norm. We don't need men hitting women and it becoming okay. It's already, we've already made so many things okay.
Look at what we're doing. We're using social media right now. We're using it for something good and positive, so you can't blame social media.
Let me tell you something. If I told you some high school stories, I know some girls that'll put some things in their mouth. If I'm watching the show, trying to cook something to eat and talk to you, it's going to have to be via text.
Well, I'll put my headset in. I'll be like, hold up, because I need my hands to do whatever I'm trying to do. UOU. Unique.
Objective.
Useful.
UOU. Take your mom or your grandma, somebody who would really enjoy a classic like the Nutcracker. It'll be great, good family time.
Fall asleep, and if I waste $68 some odd and Grandma fell asleep through the whole show, I'm gonna be real upset, Grandma.
I don't know. I think she'd just be glad she went. You know, just, oh my God, thank you, baby. I had such a wonderful time.
Great nap.
I had a good time.
You owe you. You know you love us.
Hey everybody, what's good? This is Mike Noel coming at you live on behalf of No Salary Cap Radio. We ask you to check us out every Monday from 6 to 8 on Spreaker.com. We're a brand new sports lifestyle show. We're going to be giving you updates on all your favorite sports teams, fashion, everything that has to do with the world around you. Also, shout out my man Mike and Joe for Fanalize This. Check us out, man. No Salary Cap Radio on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to Fanalize This. This is Anthony Perry and Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, we got a few hockey games to talk to you about. We got Toronto at Boston in the first period, 0-0. Buffalo and New Jersey, 0-0 in the first intermission. The Islanders, it's a battle of New York. The Islanders are leading the Rangers 1-0 at the first intermission. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have them losing to Philly right now, 2-0 at the end of the first period. We got Washington leading Florida 4-0. Montreal leading Carolina 2-0 into the first period. We got Columbus leading Vancouver 1-0. Winnipeg and Tampa Bay is 0-0. We got Detroit and Edmonton 0-0. And we have St. Louis against Phoenix, hasn't started yet. And the Dallas and the Kings game is yet to start.
That should be pretty good. Hey, go back to that Philly-Pittsburgh game. What was the score and where are they at?
They're 2-1 and they're playing in Philadelphia.
No. I mean, what period, intermission?
It's the end of the first. 4 minutes to go.
We're only down one goal. Here we go. My guarantee of the week. Pittsburgh Penguins will come back and beat the disgusting, filthy Philadelphia Flyers. Your boy, Joe 5 o'clock somewhere, said it.
I may be wrong, but I doubt it.
With Charles Barkley backing me up. Moving on to a section we like to call In Case You Missed It, because there's a lot of little stories that go on that don't get, their own segment, but I think some of them, they got to be mentioned. Let's talk about Brian Cashman real quick. This is funny. I hate to laugh, but okay. The guy's doing a charity skydive jump for wounded warriors, of all things. He had so much fun that he decided to go up and do it a second time, breaking his left leg and dislocating his ankle. Irony?
It's perfect irony, because you're talking about a guy who's the GM of the injured New York Yankees.
Right.
So I guess he had to fall in line with a lot of the players right now.
Guess the hits keep coming in New York?
They keep coming, baby.
Another story I want to talk about, Flip Saunders, who coached the Minnesota Timberwolves for 9.5 seasons. He's part of a group that's considering buying the Timberwolves. I think that'd be pretty cool. Former head coach owning a team, yeah.
Coming back home? Be nice. Do you wonder if he'll be the GM or you think he'll go onto the floor?
That's a really good question. Definitely one or the other. I mean, there's no way he's going to just be, the money man. That's a tough call. I'd have to think about that one. It's been such a long time since he coached, because he finished with the Wizards, right? Or was Detroit after that?
I think it was Detroit.
Detroit was last? It's been such a long time since he's coached. I could see him being a GM. I think he knows his time has passed, and the years of greatness he had was because he had Kevin Garnett when he was a 20-year-old kid. So, I don't know, but I think it'd be cool if Flip Saunders ends up owning the Minnesota Timberwolves, since he coached there for almost a decade.
But you'd wonder if he's going to be a front man, or is he going to actually be really involved? And if he's really involved, I think he's going to be president or something having to do with player personnel.
Another quick story, and I don't want to dwell on this one too much. Michael Jordan's attorney's trying to get the paternity suit dropped. If you haven't heard this, there's a woman who claims her 16-year-old son is Michael Jordan's kid, only she signed paperwork during her divorce proceedings with her ex-husband that says her ex-husband is the kid's biological father. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to go on with that, but Michael Jordan's attorney's trying to get that
we talked about that, but we'll say one quick thing. Michael Jordan hadn't come out and said he didn't have sex with the woman.
That's true. Michael Jordan has not denied he said it ain't his kid, but he definitely hasn't come out and said, I didn't sleep with her.
Well, if he slid in the home plate, so he was in the game.
He definitely did.
Hey.
Another thing, and it's looking like we're getting short on time here, so lucky for you, Lauren Silberman. I'm not going to trash you because I'm running out of time, but anyone who doesn't know who that is, she is a soccer player who was invited to the Combine at, I believe, the Meadowlands. It was in Jersey somewhere. She wanted to be a kicker in the NFL. She had 2 kickoff attempts, one going 13 yards, the other going 19 yards, and left with a quad injury. So there will not be a female kicker in the NFL this season.
No, but she might make the lingerie league.
Yeah, she could. She'd
Way
be
to
bad
go.
looking.
Hey.
That's about all the time we have for today's show. We're going to be back Tuesday again. Now we're on Tuesday at 4 p.m. and Thursday at 4 p.m. Our show from now on, so don't forget. AP, anything you wanted to add?
No, I just want to make sure people go on Facebook and talk to us. If they have anything they want to discuss or they want to critique the show, go on to Facebook, like us, and tell us what you think.
For Finalize This, I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
And this is Anthony Perry.
Peace.